Crisis Report.
Imagine standing on the flight deck of the USS Abraham Lincoln. It is 100,000 tons of nuclear-powered diplomacy, the ultimate symbol of American hegemony. Beneath your feet, you have the power to level cities. But on the radar screen, the threat isn't a rival carrier or a hypersonic missile. It's a swarm. Thousands of dollars of fiberglass and lawnmower engines are currently posing a credible threat to a $4 billion asset. This is the new face of war, and it's happening right now in the waters off the Middle East. While you were sleeping, defense experts issued a chilling reality check. Iranian drone swarms have reached a level of sophistication where volume alone might overwhelm the most advanced Aegis combat systems on Earth. It's the ultimate asymmetry. We've spent 70 years perfecting the shield of democracy, only to find that the enemy has figured out how to buy the arrows at wholesale prices. But don't mistake this for a localized skirmish. This isn't just about a ship in the Gulf. It's a symptom of a global board clearing, from the purges in the Chinese high command to the secret corridors of Abu Dhabi. The old rules, the ones that said big beats small and institutions ensure peace, are being shredded in real time. You've been told the world is chaotic. It isn't. It's being recalculated. And if you're still looking at the headlines through the lens of 2024, you're missing the most significant geopolitical pivot of our lifetime. So, why now? Why does a carrier group feel vulnerable today when it didn't a year ago? Because the diplomatic floor has dropped out from under the status quo. For decades, we relied on a predictable, if messy, framework of international norms. But look at the movement on the map over the last 72 hours. We are seeing the first tangible results of what's being called the transactional era. Take the Rafah crossing. After months of stalemate and humanitarian catastrophe, Israel suddenly announces a limited reopening. Is this a sudden burst of altruism from the Knesset? Hardly. This is the first gear turn of the Trump 20-point plan. It's diplomacy by ledger. You want the crossing open? Here is the price. You want security guarantees? Here is the trade. The reopening of Rafah isn't a headline about aid. It's a signal that the new administration is treating the Middle East like a distressed real estate portfolio. Everything is for sale, and every player is expected to pay up. While Rafah opens, the global COP is being challenged by its own allies. In Italy, Giorgia Meloni, who many expected to be the Trump administration's European whisperer, just delivered a sharp rebuke regarding NATO's role in Afghanistan. Even the allies are hedging their bets. Why? Because they see the same writing on the wall that you do. The U.S. is no longer offering a blank check for values-based defense. It's moving toward a performance-based alliance. But the most jarring shift isn't happening in Europe or Gaza. It's happening in a high-security villa in Abu Dhabi. Zelensky is there. The Russians are there. The Americans are there. They're calling it constructive trilateral talks. For 2 years, we were told there would be no talks about Ukraine without Ukraine, and certainly no talks with the Kremlin until every inch of soil was reclaimed. Now, the rhetoric has shifted from victory to construction. The why is simple. The money is drying up, the political will is pivoting toward China, and the parties are realizing that the forever war is about to be force-closed by a management team that hates losing money more than it hates dictators. But here is the question that should keep you up at night. If the U.S. is busy renegotiating its entire global portfolio, who is minding the internal stability of our rivals? While we're talking about point plans and trilateral talks, something much darker is happening inside the two regimes most desperate to see the West fail. In Beijing, the top general has just vanished into an investigation. In Tehran, a silent, brutal crackdown has just finished sanitizing the population. Is this a sign of weakness, or are they clearing the decks for something much bigger? To understand why a general in China losing his job matters to the price of your groceries and the safety of that carrier group in the Gulf, we have to look at the invisible threads connecting the purges to the peace talks. And those threads, they lead to a very uncomfortable conclusion about what happens next. Next, we dive into the black box and why China's military purge might be the most reliable indicator that the window for a peaceful 2026 is closing faster than anyone dares to admit. If Act 2 was the what, Act 3 is the how. To understand the true state of global stability, we have to look inside the two most opaque systems on the planet, Beijing and Tehran. Most analysts treat these as separate stories, one about corruption, the other about civil unrest. But look closer. They are mirror images of the same phenomenon, pre-conflict hardening. Let's look at the numbers in China. This isn't just a purge. It is a near-total wipeout of the military high command. On Saturday, China confirmed that General Zhang Youxia, the most senior general in the country and a man literally born into the revolutionary elite, is under investigation. Along with him, General Liu Zhenli, the chief of staff, shatter, leaving only Xi Jinping and one other official standing. Think about that. In a 7-person committee that runs the world's largest standing army, 5 seats have been vacated by investigation in the last few months. If this were a corporate board, the stock would be at 0. But this isn't about bad accounting. The part everyone ignores. The specific allegation against Zhang Youxia isn't just graft. It's the claim that he leaked nuclear secrets to the United States. Follow the logic. Why would Xi Jinping take down his oldest ally, a man whose father was literally a foxhole comrade of Xi's own father? You don't do that because he took a few bribes. You do that because you are preparing for a high-stress environment. Geopolitics for war. Xi is removing anyone with independent power bases, anyone who might hesitate when the order for Taiwan is given, and anyone who has unauthorized back channels to Washington. It's like a race car driver stripping out the interior of the car before a Grand Prix. It's uncomfortable. It's brutal. But it makes the vehicle faster and more responsive to a single set of hands on the wheel. Now, shift your gaze to Iran. While the drones are buzzing the USS Abraham Lincoln, the streets of Tehran have gone silent. But it's the silence of a graveyard. According to the latest data, we aren't looking at clashes. We are looking at a massacre on a scale we haven't seen in the 21st century. The numbers are staggering. Verified hospital records suggest upwards of 30,000 people were killed in just a 48-hour window on January 8th and 9th. Visual: heat map of Iran showing internet connectivity. On January 8th, the map goes from bright green to pitch black, followed by red pulses representing reported casualty clusters. How did they do it? They used the digital guillotine. Iran implemented a near-total internet blackout, then deployed the IRGC ground forces not to police, but to sanitize. They used attack helicopters against unarmed protesters. Why such unprecedented brutality now? Because the Iranian regime is facing a mathematical reality they can't solve. Their economy is in a terminal tailspin. Donald Trump is back with a 25% tariff on anyone doing business with them. The 20-point plan is actively peeling away their regional influence. The regime realized that if they didn't break the spirit of the population now, they wouldn't survive the external pressure coming in the next 12 months. They are hardening their domestic shell so they can withstand the coercive deterrence currently steaming toward their coast in the form of a carrier strike group. Here is the invisible thread connecting the general in Beijing to the protester in Shiraz. Regime survival through simplification. Both Xi and Khamenei are simplifying their systems. Xi is simplifying his command structure to ensure absolute obedience. Khamenei is simplifying his population to ensure zero internal dissent. They are both betting that the West, specifically a transactional U.S. administration, is more likely to negotiate with a hardened monolith than a fragile state. But there's a flaw in that logic. When you remove all the buffers, the independent generals who can talk sense to the leader, the moderate voices in the streets, you create a system that only has one setting: maximum escalation. By cleaning house, they've made their regimes more efficient, yes, but they've also made them more brittle. If a drone swarm actually hits that carrier, or if the Abu Dhabi talks fail, there is no one left in Beijing or Tehran to say, "Wait, let's think this through." We are moving into a world where the only people left in the room are the ones who said yes to the massacre and yes to the purge. And that is where the ripple effect stops being a metaphor and starts being a casualty list. If the internal hardening is complete, the next move isn't domestic, it's international. And as we're about to see, the first cracks are already appearing in the one place the US thought was secure, the heart of Europe. The internal hardening of China and Iran isn't just a domestic survival tactic. It's a precursor to a massive, global domino effect. If you've been following the money and the military movements, you'll see the first tiles are already falling. The first domino: the death of European complacency. For years, the European Union viewed NATO as a fixed utility, like water or electricity. You pay your taxes and the security just flows. But Meloni's rebuke and the standoff over Greenland have shattered that illusion. Italy and Denmark are realizing that the security guarantee is now a security negotiation, with the US pivoting its attention toward the Pacific and the Trump 20-point plan demanding localized responsibility. Europe is facing a brutal choice: either rearm at a scale not seen since the 1940s, draining their precious social safety nets, or find a way to cut their own transactional deals with Moscow and Beijing. Watch the French and German defense budgets over the next quarter. If they spike, the transatlantic alliance as we knew it is officially in the morgue. The second domino: the economic sanitization of the global South. Look at the secondary tariffs. Trump's 25% Iran trade tax isn't just a slap at Tehran. It's a warning shot to New Delhi and Abu Dhabi. India, already grappling with 50% tariffs for its Russian oil habit, is now being told to pick a side or lose access to the American consumer. The winner here, surprisingly, it's not the US Treasury. It's the parallel economy. We are seeing a massive surge in state-sponsored cryptocurrency and shadow banking in the Middle East. If the dollar is used as a weapon this aggressively, the world's middle powers will simply stop using the dollar. In 10 years, we might look back at this week as the moment the petrodollar finally died. The third domino: the 2027 clock. By purging his military rot now, Xi Jinping is signaling that he believes the window of opportunity is narrow. Most intelligence agencies have circled 2027 as the year the PLA reaches peak readiness for a Taiwan contingency. By cleaning house today, he is ensuring that when 2027 hits, there is no one left in the room to suggest restraint. The losers: the international institutions like UNRWA. As documentaries expose their compromises and the US withdraws funding, the very concept of neutral international aid is evaporating. We are returning to a world where aid is just another form of ammunition. So, where does this leave us for the next 48 hours? The prediction: don't expect the drone swarms in the Gulf to back off. In fact, expect a near-miss incident before the week is out. The IRGC needs to prove to its newly sanitized population that the regime is still the big dog on the block. Simultaneously, keep your eyes on the Abu Dhabi talks. We are likely to see a pre-agreement leaked, one that looks suspiciously like a map where Russia keeps its gains in exchange for a neutral Ukraine. It will be hailed as a peace deal by some and a betrayal by others. The reality check. We are witnessing the birth of a world where might doesn't just make right, it makes the rules. The era of the rules-based international order was a luxury of a unipolar world. That world is gone. We are back to the 19th century, just with better surveillance and faster drones. The question for the comments. We've seen the data. We've seen the purges. So, I have to ask, do you think the transactional era, this cold, hard math approach to diplomacy, is actually more likely to prevent a world war by being honest about interests? Or is the removal of diplomatic buffers making a global explosion inevitable? Are we finally being realistic, or are we being played? Let me know in the comments. Keep it logical, keep it sharp. I'll be jumping in to see who's actually connecting the dots.